ready to live in a rural area, it likely will soon. So it needs to be spoken about. And that is that we are living or being ruled by paganism. In 1945, just to get this going, 1945, after the two world wars, which were basically, well, not basically, they were enacted in order to put a hurt on humanity, that humanity would no longer want war. The United Nations was formed specifically to push forward a one world government and a one world religion. The one world government is elite, unelected people overseas running our country and telling us what we can and cannot do in our own country. The one world religion requires the eradication of the Christian faith. It also is going to take the eradication of Islam, or the Muslim faith, because the New World religion will be neither of those two. The whole idea of this earth worship thing is straight paganism. It's in the churches. Every church that I know of is now pushing the Earth Charter, which is the exact opposite of Christianity. Now, is there anybody in here from the area that is concerned about a wind farm coming near them? You've got 100 already? Oh yeah, that's down my neck of the woods. No, I mean up here, I attended a meeting up here about 2.5, 3 years ago in Meaford when they first started bringing the idea of wind farms to Meaford. And the whole thing is just a pack of lies. Anyways, this here is a picture I took just outside of Kincardine. I'm not 100% sure. Last word I heard is this house is abandoned now. We have quite a few homes in the Kincardine area that are abandoned. It's not just in people's heads. I have a gentleman down near Goderich who ran a cow-calf operation for years. He did in his life what he thought he was supposed to do. He bought some land, he farmed, raised his family, put his family through school. They brought the wind farms in, and his barn actually got up over 200 volts on the outside, okay, because when we get a burst of wind, you have to keep the lines stable, and what they end up doing is the electricity the lines can't carry goes down through rods and into the ground, and it ends up in these people's barns and houses. Anyways, that's what a wind farm looks like. Now, this is from Denmark, and this is who we're supposed to follow. My question is, why would we in Canada follow anybody? Why would we be just like anybody or someone else? That's a sales pitch, okay? Nothing more. Does that thing bump ahead? Anyways, this is from Denmark. Windmills are a mistake, make no sense economically. Wind turbines do not reduce carbon dioxide emissions. We're being told that we have to put up the wind turbines to cut CO2 emissions. From Denmark, the home of the wind turbine, it doesn't work. What this is about a world tax. You are guilty of hurting the earth by emitting CO2. Okay? The reason CO2 was picked was everything is CO2. Without CO2, you live on a rock. Nothing survives without CO2. CO2 is a life gas. Every time you exhale, that's CO2. Every time you get in your car, everything you buy is CO2 based. That gives them a worldwide tax on your person. I don't mean the corporate person. So we have these politicians here who are telling us that we need to put these wind turbines up. How bad is it economically? In 2007, I had the opportunity to talk to Senior Policy Advisor to Minister of Energy. I told him what my research was showing. I showed him the research papers from some of the universities. Everything said this is a bad idea. When I talked to the Senior Policy Advisor, his cost to upgrade our system and give us as clean a system as you can buy was between $10 and $12 billion. That included putting the scrubbers on the stacks at the coal plants, because CO2 is not harmful. And what has successive government said? We got to shut down the coal plants because of the CO2. We won't put the scrubbers on the coal plants because it won't stop CO2. Only it's everything else that's harming people. So we have basically a bunch of deceivers who are doing the bidding of the United Nations. The IEA, which is the International Energy Association, states specifically that there's two reasons to be using renewable energy. One is cash flow, which is cash flow out of your pocket into their pocket, and the creation of carbon credits. Here in Ontario, a lot of jurisdictions, they split the carbon credits with the industry. Okay, so the industry can cover their butts with the credits, and so can the government partially. In Ontario here, we're paying a premium, and the premium goes to the companies, and in return, the government gets all the carbon credits. What's going to take place once all these wind turbines are up is the government will claim itself to be carbon neutral. You, on the other hand, are not. Okay, so it's going to get very, very expensive if you don't own an energy company or a government. You're being set up. The ticket through the UN is one world government. They intend to destroy our economies. That is their plan. That's what they say. They blame the Christian people. If you look in the world, the main places that wind turbines are going up in renewable energy are in Christian-based countries, i.e. the West. You know, the States, Canada, Australia, Britain, all these kind of places. Because the people at the UN who wish to eradicate Christianity blame Christianity for hurting Mother Earth. Because it is the Christians and the Christian-based faith only that have ever industrialized anything. We're the builders. We built the factories. We lifted ourselves from poverty. And they wish to put that back. And they blame us specifically for hurting Mother Earth. The new religion is paganism, and you are to worship Mother Earth. And once we have people in that mindset, you don't mind giving up your right to water. You don't mind paying more for electricity. You don't mind being regulated to death. Because you've come to, I mean, it's a psychological war we're in, okay? And we have to overcome it somehow. Anyways, what we have here is, this is our boss right now. This is out of Dalton's mouth, okay? This is from 206 Hansard. I think the member opposite knows that when it comes to natural gas prices, they tend to be volatile. It remains a significant contributor to global warming. Wind turbines, we're investing heavily in those, but again, those are an expensive form of electricity and they're not reliable. Why would you invest in this? It makes no sense. Now, one thing all of these people tend to say is that we're doing all of this to save us from global warming. A lot of people now, okay, this is again from the Hansard. We're spending what should have cost us between 10 and 12 billion, according to the senior policy advisor. This is going to cost us, we're already at the $87 billion mark, and now they're talking, it's going to run over 100 billion. this is part and parcel being used to help to bankrupt us. We're borrowing the money from the IMF. They bankrupt us. IMF is United Nations, as is World Bank. Boom, gotcha. Okay, this is a trap. I'm trying to do this as fast as I can here. This is a guy that a lot of people now are saying they're going to vote for in the next provincial election because they're so mad at McGuinty. Make no mistake, these people are working for the same people. Okay? Now, I've talked to his offices, and these people were supposedly fighting wind farm, a couple of groups out there. This guy here, it was actually the Harris government who first started moving this wind program through and the renewable program through. Then we got McGuinty. Now we're likely going to have Hudak here next. Okay? So it's going to keep on moving down the line. He's telling people now that if you vote conservative, we'll do something about what McGuinty's trying to do you. But here he is in 2007 espousing the Tory mandate on renewable energy. That they're going to do an even better job than Dalton McGuinty. In the 2007, because I read in the 2007 election as an independent, in the 2007 election platform book put out by Tory and the Conservatives, they promised more wind than the Liberals if elected. Okay, so we got a real problem here. Now, no, just right there for a second. Hudak says Tories announcement yesterday to keep this at the bottom, keeps in line with PC Party's legacy of environmental protection that is included in the creation of the Ministry of Environment, the Niagara Escarpment Commission, Oak Ridges Moran, the Living Legacy Trust, which is conservancy programs, which are all UN based. This is a land grab. Nothing more. Okay, now, both of these parties, all parties, are telling us we have to fight global warming. The problem is, global warming, or man-made global warming, is as phony as a $3 bill. And they tell you it's phony. The Club of Rome was set up in 1968 as a manufacturer of crisis. They create the problem, the NGOs, the media, the schools, the churches, okay, give you the reaction or work you into the reaction they want to come to the solution that you think is good, only this is a preconceived solution based on the problem. Okay, so you have no input in this whatsoever. In other words, you are in the audience. And we got to get ourselves out of the audience because we just react to what keeps coming at us. We have to start writing the script. We have to supply the actors. Because as long as they got the actors and they got the script writers, we're screwed. Anyways, all we need is a right major crisis. Okay, that crisis was global warming because it's not a crisis you can put your finger on. Okay, it's out there. Okay, so we can work with it. In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we come up with the idea. When they come up with the idea, science didn't precede the idea. They came up with the idea long before the IPCC got involved in it. Okay? They've created the problem. They bring in the IPCC in order to start working the reaction and looking for the solution. From the IPCC, we need to get some broad-based support to capture the public's imagination, so we have to offer up scary scenarios, make simplified, dramatic statements, and make little mention of any doubts. Each of us has to decide, these are supposed to be scientists, each of us has to decide what is the right balance between being effective and being honest. There's no science in it. Never was, because they came up with the idea. Okay, if we have the right idea, we can get people to give up their rights. We can get them to succumb to what we want, which is one world government, one world religion. And you may say, what's this got to do with wind farms? Everything. Because it's all part and parcel of the game. People are going to their council meetings thinking they're having input on this renewable energy thing. They don't. Because your council is working to implement the one world government. It's called global to local. Okay? Now, can we go next? What is it? Yeah, okay. These are some folks that are involved in global warming. We've got to ride this global warming issue. Even if the theory of global warming is wrong, we will be doing the right thing in terms of economic and environmental policy. In other words, we move the one world order forward. Back that up a second. This is brilliant. This is Christine Stewart, who's an ex-environmental minister for the federal Liberals. No matter if the science of global warming is all phony, climate change provides the greatest opportunity to bring about justice and equality in the world. That is one world government. And just as a side point, Christina Stewart is a Wicca, okay, which is pagan. Okay, you can probably, you could probably look at all these wind towers as phalluses stuck up. And what are they telling you? Yeah, go yourself, because we're moving you off the land, and that's the plan. Okay, the only way to get our society to truly change is to frighten people with the possibility of a catastrophe. I take that rather, I don't like that, because I have a nephew he's going in grade 9 I think now, but when he was in grade 7, when they were showing the video of Al Gore and Inconvenient Truth and that, all of a sudden, a lot of the kids in his school started to have sleeping problems. They're probably medicated now. Because what they did to those children was they told them that the world is going to end. That they have no future. And the worst part of it is the schools are teaching the children that it is your fault. The parents are at fault. The state is taking your children to bring them into the new world as your world disappears. Only their world, they won't have any right to water. They won't have any right to land. Okay, and it's our responsibility to look at these wind turbines for what they are. Okay? Yeah, please. We're on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is a right major crisis. That major crisis is global warming. Yeah. This here is a clip, the E8. Now, the E8 used to be the E7, which is the International Energy Commission. I'm sure most of the people in here have heard of Maurice Strong. Okay. When I was investigating this, when we were trying to stop some wind farms, and I'm not personally affected, I live in town, soon to be referred to, or it is referred to now, maybe in the public soon. I don't live in the town of Kincardine, I live in the human settlement of Kincardine, is what it's referred to. So as they put the natives on the reserves, they're going to put you off the land into the human settlements. Anyways, this here, I just ran across this last night, and you will see on here, I don't know if you can read it or not, but we have Hydro-Quebec and Hydro-Ontario Power Generation. The E8 is United Nations, okay? The idea of what they're doing by privatizing our energy systems and that is, it's all about internationalization, so that no nation can provide for itself. We can't feed ourselves, we can't electrify ourselves, we can't deal with our water, okay? And that gives them power over us, way too much power. Anyways, when I was first looking into this, we were trying to stop a wind farm down in Kincardine, and I phoned down to the Environment Ministry, and I got talking to this lady by the name of Marie LeGros, and most of these bureaucrats, you can kind of jab them hard enough, they'll start to lose it on you after a while, but this particular lady, didn't matter what, just smooth, right? I said, something's wrong with her, okay? Because you can't rattle her, so that she's got to be part of the problem. So I put in her name, put in Maurice Strong, bingo, right? And Marie LeGros, who was in charge of wind at the time through the Ministry of Energy, wrote the manual on the E7, which is the internationalization of energy, and here she is, head of our Environment Ministry, pushing the windmills under the guidance of Maurice Strong. Okay, who was the first guy that was brought in to destroy our hydro system? There's a whole, I mean, this goes, I mean, if you want to really understand how deep this is, I mean, I got 800 posts on my site, windfarms.wordpress.com. You really need to go back to 206, start coming this direction, okay? Because what Dan and Jordy are basically telling people tonight is you can't know anything until you back up, okay? You can't take it at face value as being presented to you today in the media. You've got to start backing up, understand the meaning of the words, the meaning of the people that are putting out the words, before you can even get a grasp of what they're doing to you. Okay, so that's you should look at that. This is basically a map of who's coming at us. Locally down here, we have Agenda 21, which is basically the Bible. Okay, this Agenda 21, you need to know what it is, because it is the Bible that every single council in this province is pushing. It's the global to local. Global administered local, giving the power to the global. Okay? They are teaching kids now they're global citizens. They're not global citizens, they're Canadians. Okay? But they're doing this to work their minds over. Anyways, don't need to stay too long on that. This is Agenda 21. Learn it. It's the Earth Summit. You are guilty of sin. You hurt the earth. We're going to get rid of you. We're going to tax you into the ground. I mean, part of this deal, realistic, I mean, it's very simple. It's a good ploy. You accept the idea global warming is real. Therefore, we have to fix it. Therefore, we have to restrict all your stuff. Therefore, we have to keep upping your taxes. Okay? Your taxes are going to take a real miserable hit here because the amount of money this province is spending, somebody's going to pay for it. And the government drinks it, it doesn't have any money. Got your money. Okay? And what they're going to do, if you own a farm or a country property, regulations on your water, your land, down in the States already, you can't plow on certain days, right? Because, well, I mean, come on. You disturb the earth, you release CO2, don't go there, right? Okay, the idea is run you off the land into the human settlements. They are not going to come and tell you you have to go. They're going to stick windmills beside you until they move you off, right? And or high taxes or high water bills until it becomes impossible financially for you to stay on your land. They want to make rural property unviable. Nobody will want it. There's untold billions of dollars sitting offshore, it's in the documents right now, waiting to come in and buy up our farmlands. But the guys that want to buy it, they don't want to pay you what it's worth. They'll run you off first, and then it's pennies on the dollar for them. Okay, that's how bankers operate.
Who are they who wants our land? Who are they?
It's the United Nations, okay? It is the banksters. I mean, you put these people all in one group. They're all working for the same deal, right? Okay, they wish to be the kings and queen of your land. Okay, you are going to be reduced to serfdom. That is the plan. Okay, in the town of Kincardine, I'm supposed to do this really fast. In the town of Kincardine in 206, a house was sold in R1 zoned area. And it was sold, immediately turned into a rooming house. Well, that breaks the law. That breaks the zoning bylaw. You can't put a rooming house in R1. Yeah, when we went to the council, the planners, you will find, if you hang around your council meetings, you will find that everything is being pushed, and the planner comes in, says, oh yeah, we think this is a good idea. The council doesn't even blink. Okay, the planner says it's okay. What are the planners pushing? Agenda 21. Okay, so basically what they've done in Kincardine, and it's going on all over this province, is they have destroyed the zoning bylaws. Because the plan is to move people out of the rural areas, not let the towns expand, and build high-density housing. And most of these little towns don't have enough land zoned for high density, therefore they destroy your property rights again. And if you put a rooming house or an apartment building beside your R1 house, goes your value. Okay? So we, as a community and we as people, have really got to sharpen up here because they want to take us down. Yeah.
Short of killing them, how do we get rid of them?
Well, actually, we've been talking about that. We'll do that in a second. Effective execution of Agenda 21 reorientation of all human society on anything the world has ever experienced, and a major shift in priorities of both governments, individuals, and an unprecedented redeployment of human and financial resources. This shift will demand that a concern for the environmental consequences of every human action be integrated into individual collective decision making at every level. Doesn't sound that good. You know, it doesn't sound good for us at all. Regionalism must precede globalism. We foresee a seamless system of governance from local communities, individual states, regional unions, and up through the United Nations itself, i.e. the boss man.
Amalgamation is the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Private ownership of land is not compatible with socialism, communism, or global governance as described in the United Nations. Stalin, Hitler, Castro, Mayo all took steps to forcibly nationalize the land as the essential first step towards controlling their citizens. The UN, without the use of military force, is attempting to achieve the same result. The land policy of the United States, 1976, in Vancouver. This has been going on a long time. Okay, the preamble. Oh, where'd you go here? Land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset controlled by individuals and subject to the pressures and inefficiencies of the market. Private land ownership is also a principal instrument of accumulation and concentration of wealth, and therefore contributes to social injustice. If unchecked, it will become a major obstacle in the planning and implementation of development schemes. I think you get the drift of what this is all about. All countries should establish a matter of urgency, a national policy on human settlements embodying the distribution of population over the national territory. This is complete and total control of everything. Every resource, everything you do, basically everything you think. I mean, they got you. Agricultural land, particularly on the periphery of urban areas, is an important national resource. Without public control, land is prey to speculation and urban encroachment. They want the land, because once you don't have the right to land, you ain't got no rights. That's why your forefathers came here in the first place. They didn't have the right to land where they were. They were serfs upon the land. They didn't have any human rights over there. They came here. I mean, why? I mean, it's got to be pretty bad when you get on a boat back in the 1700s, 1800s, and they give you, what, a broadaxe and a sack of flour and a sack of sugar and send you off in the bush? Things have to be pretty damn bad at home before you pull that one off. But they were promised the right of property. And they built a country. And now the game is to take that right of property away. And we can't let that happen. It can't be let happen. Yeah. Okay, such control may be, zoning and land use planning as a basic instrument of land policy in general and of control of land use changes in particular. Direct intervention, the creation of land reserves, that's your conservatory programs and shit, okay, where they're coming in and they're offering farmers money not to ever develop their land, and they give them a break on their taxes or whatever, okay, that's basically land theft, because they're putting it in their land bank. Purchase, compensation, expropriation, or preemption, acquisition of development rights, conditioned leasing of public and communal land, formation of public and mixed development. Okay, this is absolute communism, socialism, fascism, combination of all, but it's the end of what you thought was your country, is what it is. I just want to, this is all urban development there, but this is all NGOs, all UN. This World Federation, where is that? The World Association of World Federalists is kind of, I like that because Walter Cronkite, okay, the man you can trust in news, I was a member of this thing. He's dead now, but he's a member. And I do have a video up on my site of Walter accepting their award. And during that acceptance, Walter Cronkite it says how proud he is to sit at the side of Satan. Okay? This is your media, folks. This is the guy you can trust. Okay? And then we have Hillary Clinton coming in, of course. And good job, Walter. You know. We also have Maud Barlow, who's hooked up with this mess. Maud Barlow, our water queen, who's going to save our water. Okay? Treasonous as you can get your hands on. There's a golden rule. Anybody that gets a lot of media attention in this country, they're working for the wrong side.
Don't forget this,
It's funny because I read in the 2007 election, Elizabeth May came out with a statement that if elected, that she would put a large telescreen in every community hall in Canada. Okay, come on down 1984, let's go down and see the telescreen, right? And now they're going to put the telescreens, actually, they've cut a deal with Walmart, who's going to put the telescreens in Walmart so the government can give you information. And they can tell you to look out for criminals, okay? I mean, we're really way down the road here now.
Another classic thing that they've done in tyrannical empires like Hitler and Stalin is turn the children and the youth away from their parents.
Well,
I was walking downtown past the Green Party office doing my snow clearing, and I couldn't help notice that their new symbol has a triangle around it, a pyramid. And then there was a little poster next to it that says, Youth of Canada, vote green because your parents effed up the environment.
No way.
Your parents.
This is on,
This is what it's all about.
okay, so we cannot blindly wander around and pretend that we don't have to get involved, that our politicians are going to fix things for us. It ain't going to happen. Okay, they spent, the first Earth Day was 1970. The first Earth Charter was 1972. Okay, and they have taken all that time to put all their people into the media, the churches, the schools, the politicians, the bureaucrats. Okay, there is no one out there looking out for your ass or my ass. We are on our own. And we're going to have to come up with some kind of a way we're going to deal with this. Okay, this is ripping a Death of Canada, ripping apart. This is from Tom DeWeese. He does some good videos. Using radical environmentalists to take your property, using public schools to change your children, and now using Christian churches to spread environmental propaganda. And I think this is the last one here, I hope. Okay, I got two clips. Wind farms the reality. One part of the plan to destroy Canada and remove the right to property. This is being done under the guise of saving the environment, a lie. Global to local means your government at all levels are working to implement Agenda 21. Forget about the health studies because there's two wind groups out, okay, who I'm not allowed to speak at their meetings because I bring up the United Nations. I bring up what's really going on. So they have reduced themselves to nothing more than controlled opposition. By only ever talking about health studies, they keep the people hypnotized. They keep them from looking any deeper because we in Canada always tend to go to somewhere that somebody will help us. So as long as they give the guys that they're helping, then people go home and watch TV. So I'm not allowed to speak at any of those meetings. Even though I run in 2 elections, I'm still not allowed to speak at their meetings. Okay, how to stop the wind farms and anything else, because it's all connected. Okay, all of it. Is people power. And how are you going to organize the people to deal with this? It seems, I've talked to George about it, and Doug a little bit, and Rob a little bit, and a few other people. It seems to me the only reason, it doesn't look like we are going to be able to change the minds of those who wish to move us off our land and into the human settlements. We can't deal with that. So somehow we're going to have to come up with a parallel society, basically, of which we are not going to accept their bull. We cannot go to our church. We cannot go to the school and ask them to reverse what's going on. Not now. But if we show them what real people do, hopefully we can bring them to our side. Because we're going to have to offer them some kind of a solution, because they don't have one either. They can't get out of that system. They don't know how to get out. We're going to have to show them how to get out. And we got to figure out the best way to do that. Okay, no local government, and I mean no local government, the Green Energy Act, which took away the rights of the municipalities on zoning, and not one municipality stood up against it, which tells you what they're up to. Okay, they give a little bit of lip service now, but that's after the fact. Okay, the local government is doing the bidding of the province, which is doing the bidding of the UN. So you can forget about your local council or the province, as they will not stand in the way of Agenda 21. That is going to be our job. And we have got to somehow wake up the youth. No child in this province should be standing or sitting in a school classroom in this province. Just a couple of quick things I get from students. They're being jammed on this global warming thing. When you ask them why they believe in global warming, they can't tell you. All they can tell you is that it must be real because people keep jamming it down our throat everywhere we go. When you ask a student why they don't question the teacher, they don't use the word teacher, they use the word authority, and they say we're not allowed to question authority. The children believe that the earth is running out of water. Not possible. But the worst part of it is that the school is teaching your children and grandchildren that you are guilty. Okay? And if we don't get a hold of the kids and get them moving with us, it's over. There's a quote that's attributed to Hitler. The guy is in his 50s or whatever. He goes up to Hitler and he says, I can't come on your side. This is when Hitler had the Hitler Youth, which is what is going on in the school system today. And he basically said that I cannot come on your side, and Hitler supposedly looked at him and said, you don't matter, because you will pass. And once that has been done, we, the state, are all the children will know. We can't let that happen. So basically, if somebody is interested in wind, go to windfarms.wordpress.com. Go back up to 206 when we started the blog. Move your way forward. And I'm really appreciative that everybody came out here. It's been a great meeting. I'm bone tired. I went to bed at 3:30 in the morning, so you have to excuse me. But if you have any questions specifically dealing with wind and that, let me know. No, what I find from people is that people are still, people have succumbed to this idea of global warming. No one in the WCO, which is Wind Concerns Ontario, which is a group of 55 groups, supposedly fighting wind, or Wind Vigilance, which has got doctors and that in it. There's not one of those groups, or one of the leaders of those groups, that can bring themselves to say that this is all a scam, which it is. It's a blatant freaking scam, and it should be treated like that. Okay, these people should be arrested when they come into your community and try to put these wind turbines in, because the police are supposed to look out for your best interest and stop scams. This is a scam. Might want to bring that up with them. But no, what you get from all the wind fighters is the first sentence out of their mouths is always, we're not against wind. Well, how can you say that you're standing up for your groups if you won't acknowledge the scam that it is? You can't do it. That's why I look at them as controlled opposition. You know, the president of WCO, I jumped in on a radio station, he hasn't talked to me since, but the first words out of his mouth, and he's supposed to be the president of the Association Fighting Wind Farms, is, I just want everyone to understand, we're not against wind.
Just for the information that
They intend, on the last maps I saw, to put in 5,000 wind turbines in southern Ontario. So it may be in a strip now, but they're going to fill it in.
And it kills
Okay.
a lot of landowners.
It will lower the price of your land, okay, and you, what? Yeah, I've got all kinds of sick people. I know lots of people who moved out of their homes, right? When you have Health Canada, actually I phoned the head of Health Canada. I talked to the head guy from Health Canada back in early 2007, and I was explaining some of the problems people were having, and he broke into a wind commercial for me. I mean, this is top to bottom, okay? And this is what I mean. When people say they think they can go to their local politician and get something accomplished, you can't, because this is from bottom to top. Okay? There is no one out there that's going to stop it except you. Now, I got a call from a guy out of Rhode Island yesterday afternoon, and he was concerned about some wind turbines that were going to come in there. And what I told him was that, you know, if you're going to have a municipal or local election come up, the only place you can get a hold of power is at the local level. So if you have a local election coming up, roust up your folks, get in there and try to get the majority vote. And he says, funny you should mention that, because we just had a local election, and 2 weeks after the election, they dropped this bomb on us about wind, and they're in there for 4 years. Right? So what I basically told him is that you're going to have to, there's no one on your side, nobody. Okay, so don't think that hopefully somebody will come to your assistance. They won't. Your fellow citizens are who's going to have to do the job. And what I told the guy in Rhode Island was, if you're serious, you better find some guys that you know with some backhoes. And if you plan on protecting your land, you better be prepared to start ripping roads up. Those are your roads. You paid for those roads. That is your land that you're protecting. You have every right to protect your land. Because other than that, okay, this is based on paganism, okay, the church is Christian, we need bodies, I'll go to the church. Boy, did I get a cool reception. and that got me doing some more research, and I found some documents from the U.N. by Robert Mueller, who's basically the guy in charge of the one world religion. And the documents state how they went and infiltrated the churches years ago, because you had that ecumenical movement, right? Which all the, you know, from the Buddhists to the United Church minister went and kissed the hand of the Pope, which gave themselves to Rome, right? Okay, so they are being ruled through Rome, which is the New World Order. So your Christian pastors are not. And I was rather disappointed in that. They actually had a 1-800 line back to Mueller's office. It was called the 1-800-GREEN line. So that if a parishioner should start to ask questions about this Earth Charter and all this kind of stuff, that they could actually phone the United Nations, and that they would talk to the preacher on how to deal with that particular parishioner to keep a handle on this. Yeah, so I mean, but you gotta look on the bright side, right? Okay, there's 34 million Canadians here, right? Okay, surely to God we can roust up some folks.
Ron?
To do something, yeah,
Well, we better do it fast.
Thank you.
I'm done, I gotta go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron Stevens. Ron is definitely a man that can go on all night. It's all great information, but we got to keep moving. So I don't mean to cut anyone short or anything.